Much like when Nick reveled in thumbing his nose at his church by bringing the full cover and the later thruple to the pews. Remember, April and I had been to the church. April was at the church after I had left with all the kids.
Right.
Sure enough, all of the below transpired. All of this CPS stuff happened with April in the gallery as a support, gazing upon the cult leader in awe. Surely that would have inspired a lot of confidence in the county's eyes. Now, that's number one. Let's talk about that. They go over who's in the audience.
Right.
And you got Nick's parents. You've got the three oldest children, the ones that are over 10 years old. They're here hearing this. Remember that. And then you have April listed as a support in the gallery. He brought his fucking side chick. He brought sister wife to a CPS hearing. Remember, this is the hearing where he's going to go, I'm a good boy. I'm a good boy and I can have my kids back. Give me my kids back because Nick's turned a corner. Nick's all right, even though Nick won't admit he did anything wrong in the first place. But okay. April is there at the hearing.
He had to reassure them, though. They're like, hey, what's with this lady? Oh, don't worry. Kayla's my bottom bitch. So
yeah.
We're good.
She's there. She's in attendance. Everybody's been trying to figure out, why did April's felony charges get brought back? Why did the county decide to pursue felony charges against April again? Now, it's my assertion, based on who I've talked to and based on my intimate knowledge of this whole thing, that those charges were coming back no matter what. I think the only thing that could have stopped those charges from coming back is April talking to the detectives, April talking to CPS, and April helping. Then it probably would have all gone away. But she didn't. She shows up at this CPS hearing. People keep bringing up the tattoo thing. Those charges were back in process. They were ready with those charges before the tattoo thing happened. So
yeah, the government doesn't move that quickly.
Right. I think they saw April was still living there. They see April at the CPS hearing. They're like, you know what? Fuck her. We're putting the charges back on. And I think they always were going to put the charges back on. So she shows up at the CPS thing. Now, here's an interesting question. If April shows up at this CPS hearing and she's clearly still there, and she was one of the people that got arrested with them, and now she has 5th-degree felony charges, remember when the CPS, like the list of things they had to do to get the kids back, one of them was be subject to random checks of both houses?
Right.
I wonder now if April, if this CPS thing is going to be dragged out longer, because
April's in the mix.
April has to now be considered as someone who needs to test, someone who needs to be checked in on, someone who needs to. They gotta make sure that she's okay to be around children, because she was.
Don't worry. Nick said he'll handle that. He'll take care of the testing and checking in on her, make sure she's all right. He'll take care of all that. You don't need to worry about it.
That's what's funny about this whole thing, because remember, Nick was cocking off and bragging like, whatever charges April doesn't face, it's because of me. Well, the fact that she's facing charges, isn't that because of you, sweetheart? So April is there. April is looking on, which everyone I've heard talk about this, that's the craziest part to them. Is they're like, how did you think this was a good idea? This is where I get to the point where I'm like, I used to say, I hope they're getting help. I hope they are f***ed up beyond belief. I hope they are coked out of their minds during this hearing. I really do. Because if this is the best you can do with a sober mind, holy shit. I mean, it's dumb enough for you all to be living together still.
Right.
It's even dumber to bring her to the CPS hearing where you're trying to show you're a responsible, normal family who can have children in their home. By the way, here's my side poke that I got arrested with all the, she was in the bedroom with my wife the morning we all got arrested. I'm totally ready.
I don't know why anyone thinks anything's happening between the two of us. Did they not hear how I'm aggressively monogamous?
So April is in the gallery to show support. Sometimes I think about this and sometimes I shake my head and I go, I'm glad she's not here. but boy, has she f***ed up her entire life. So April's in the gallery to show support. And, dude, if you're Nick's parents, I don't know what they've been told. I'm guessing he had to just know him on this whole thing. You see April there. If you're Nick's parents, you're like, what the Nick, what the is she doing here? You and your wife need to have a family again. Like, you need to be together. What the Nick's probably convinced them, oh, yeah, Aaron was like ground and pounding her, beating the out of her. Aaron was this terrible guy. We're rescuing her. He doesn't believe that. He knows that's horseshit, and I'll call him on it every time. But they don't know that that's bullshit. So he's probably got them sold because, remember, these are the same parents who we're going to see later in these documents don't think that Nick's ever done cocaine. Oh. So these are not the most difficult people to fool. So April up in the gallery, showing support. If this doesn't inspire Kandiyohi County to kind of bring her into the fold and make her part of the conditions and everything, especially now that she's facing the felony charges. I mean, all three of these people are going to be convicted felons when this is over, whether they go to trial or they plead guilty. If they plead guilty, they can stay out of jail. If they go to trial, some of them are going to prison. And they're going to be convicted felons. So you can't have another convicted felon who's not blood related to the kids in the house without putting some stipulations, putting a saddle on them. To her stepchildren, April can't show support to 5 other children who are counting on her as a nanny. She gets them taken away out of the house because of her actions. And now she wants to show up at court for support. Oof, to say the least. So on to highlight number 2 from these document links from MN Public Records. Although the maternal grandparents, Kayla's parents, are generally understood to have been the only caregivers, it turns out the 2 youngest children were then actually in the care of another family member and uncles giving respite for unspecified intervals. So I'm guessing one of Kayla's brothers was watching the kids from time to time. For how long and how many times did Nick's choices subject his kids to the trauma of being separated even from each other? That's another thing nobody talks about. Like when he addresses it or anything else, just the the kids have heard about this stuff. Remember, these 3 of their oldest kids are in the courtroom for all this.
Yeah, and then on top of that, they're living this shit. That's not good for them.
Also, one of them obviously tested positive for a shitload of cocaine. So there's that too. So you have the kids being taken away. And let's not to mention the kids being there when the cops have to battering ram the door in because their dad's a douchebag who wants to cosplay libertarian hero all day instead of protect his family. So that traumatic situation. Then the kids saying, can I have some clean clothes? I haven't changed my clothes in a few days, and holding the cop's hand as they walk out. As
Oh, God, that's not good.
As PPP,
that really happened?
Yeah. As PPP from Keno Casino said, the way he puts it, the kids were stinky and hungry.
Oh. Well, dude, okay, so I have one thing about this. I saw someone talking about this. The older kids, why aren't the older kids taking care of themselves? The ages, they go up to 15, 16, right?
16, yeah. Almost 17 now.
Yeah, 16, 17, you can't handle your shit? You can't do some laundry?
Well,
make your own
the laundry's in the bedroom. The wash machine and the dryer in the bedroom.